の魅力っていうのはやっぱゲームストーリーの中にも。
A large part of how attractive a character is comes from what he does in the story and the situation he's been thrust in.
Inafune-san, the VP, is very, very character driven. Frank West is an amazing character. We all loved him. Ugly bruiser that he is, he did represent character, and you can't speak of Capcom without acknowledging what they've brought to characters in video games. They are very, very character driven. They wanted us to bring something a little bit more all-American to the franchise, but we didn't want to go with someone absolutely cheesy. We wanted to go with someone iconic, someone that you can recognize from a single screenshot.
Chuck Green slowly evolved over time. You know, like with any character, there's a lot of, both with his visual looks and also his personality, there's a lot of trial and error. And there's about the casting and the animation and all those things work together to create this character. But he's basically an everyday guy caught in an insane situation that he doesn't know how to control it. He has to find out how to get out of it and how to control it.
Oh no.
When we went to Vegas and Reno, we weren't just capturing for the environment. We did take the opportunity to photograph the consumers of Vegas. And then we created basically a mugs list, a wall, like a crime scene. And we did notice a lot of similarities in the kind of guys and girls that go to Vegas. So it's very easy to extract the visual language out of your typical Vegas consumer. They're not just human beings who have been turned into zombies. These are guys who are shopping, gambling, eating, going to shows and clubs when this thing happened.
The zombies are always there, they're always in the way, but typically they're in the way while you're trying to progress to deal with human beings. And one of the staples of zombie movies has always been that the real enemy is other people.
They're not going to be your typical human beings. They're going to be recognizable for the characteristics that they portray are portrayed on their exterior as well. They're incarnate of gluttony or sexual appetite or just sheer frustration is represented in their concept. And the character team did an amazing job of translating those into 3D.
I'm Antoine! I am the king of cuisine!
Dead Rising 2 occurs 5 years after Dead Rising 1. It is a continuation of the universe of Dead Rising. The outbreak that occurred at Willamette Mall in Dead Rising 1, that story is continued. The zombie virus is still in America. The problem of zombies is still in America. And Fortune City represents the largest outbreak since the events of the past.
My name's Chuck.
Our main hero is Chuck Green. You know, he's an ex-motocross champ. He lost his wife in an outbreak, and he just has his daughter who's infected. In a world filled with zombies, and there's this drug called Zombrex, and that's used to sort of keep the disease at bay. Zombrex is incredibly expensive, so there he is, competing in this, controversial game show called Terror's Reality. That's where he can, get enough cash to pay for some Zombrex and keep his daughter alive.
Katie, it's me, it's Daddy.
He wins a little bit of money, and then he goes off to buy his daughter Zombrex, and then there's a zombie outbreak in the arena. He escapes with his daughter to the safe house, which is this government shelter. The shelter gets locked down for 3 days until the military comes to rescue them. Well, Chuck has to get out because he's got a daughter who needs this drug. Like, if she doesn't get it in a certain amount of time, she's gonna be turning into a zombie. So he has to go out into the world and try and find some Zombrex. And when he gets back, they see a newscast that says that it wasn't an accident, the zombie outbreak, and he's the one who started it.
Look, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but I'm being set up.
What makes it fun is, honestly, playing it. We get a lot of folks playing our game a lot in the office. We don't spend a lot of time talking about how cool it's going to be. We're going to make it cool, and we're just going to hold ourselves to it. Well, having the whole team come together and collaborate, that's just incredible. Everyone's focused on one thing together, and they go off and do it, and they come back, and they're just super energized, and it's a lot of fun.
God bless America! Let's go hunting, boys!
Combo weapons definitely was the #1 hook. I can't even remember where the initial idea came from. Very, very early on when combo weapons were identified as that's the game, that's the hook. That's the thing that's going to take it over the top from Dead Rising 1. We tried to take some weapons that are like, okay, this is an iconic weapon, like the sickle, let's add something to it. And it just kept blossoming, and
You know, Capcom was giving us great feedback saying, we love this stuff, keep going, and we did. We just kept trying to do as many as we could.
The paddle saw, which has emerged into sort of the iconic weapon for Chuck Green, that was one of the very first ones we did.
We had a paddle in the game, and we had chainsaws in the game. We're like, okay, paddle, chainsaw, and you're rolling up the river, right? You're taking out the zombies.
As soon as it came together and the audio guys threw some audio on it and the zombies were getting sliced, that's when we knew that, okay, we've nailed it. We know exactly what's going to excite people about the game.
And with Chuck, his uniqueness is his ability to, be a handyman. He's the guy who can sort of make things work. It doesn't necessarily look like the most elegant, invention. It's got a lot of duct tape, solving the problem.
A lot of video games might only have 15 or 20 weapons in them. If you look at some of the first-person shooters, they have, a few rifles and a few handguns and a few shotguns, and they're awesome and they're great for the game. But 15 weapons versus 300 weapons is an entirely different problem. And in the Dead Rising 2, we have 50 of the combo weapons. So these are weapons that you take two other parts, put them together, and the technology of having weapons that burn zombies and slice zombies and freeze zombies and electrocute zombies, yeah, it's been awesome.
There's several times in development of this game where you'll hear someone going, I can't believe this, come check this out, and everyone starts running over. And you're saying, wow, we didn't actually anticipate that weapon being used in that way. Just the emergent sort of, experiences, those creative expression the players can get out of the game has been totally awesome. The biggest challenge was want to sort of fulfill a vision where players can play the game in a competitive nature and players can obviously play the game in a cooperative nature. How do we make that work without it degrading into some sort of first-person, third-person, shooting sequence? So this idea that brought to us actually was the brainchild of Capcom, and Inafune-san was this idea of this game show, Terror's Reality.
Inafune-san was the creator of Dead Rising 1, and he's got an incredible lineage in the industry all the way back to Mega Man. And Terror's Reality was his sort of attempt to take something like American Gladiators and Takeshi's Castle, which we know as MXC in North America, and take those and sort of meld them together and have this crazy, wacky game show with zombies in the middle of all of it.
It's really overly advertised and overly announced and really cheesy, in fact. And it's actually quite funny, right? And that's an excellent contrast to those zombies that are spilling blood on this brightly pink, and yellow floor.
Terror's Reality was always designed to be multiplayer from the beginning. We knew that we wanted to have the four-player sort of adversarial co-op games where you would jump in and have this very short, intense experience. But it was maybe halfway through the project where we couldn't ignore the fans anymore, and you heard on the forums or read on the forums, it's like, yeah, Terror's Reality looks like it's going to be really cool, but what we really want is co-op. We want to be running around with our buddy killing zombies and exploring this incredible world.
We're working through trying to make sure that it's going to be really fun with multiple people in the environment doing whatever they want to do, right? If they want to use the wheelchair and then another guy lines them up with the baseball bat, we got to cover all of these different issues that weren't really thought about, but we're doing and having fun doing it.